Bobby, we brought you on. We want to talk Phillies. We brought you on. I mean, it's going to be a very boring conversation until Kyle Schwarber actually got hosed yesterday. Where I've been zaprudering the film, okay? And I think this might not be on ESPN and who's ever handling the counter more as it is on Carl Ravitch and the broadcast. Um, I like Carl Ravitch. Baseball Tonight, grew up with it. I think he always does a good job. He is not a guy going from Boomer to going to Carl Ravitch. He's just not the guy for the home run derby anymore. Eduardo Perez is not the guy for the home run derby. They were announcing it like it was a little league home run derby. It was bad. It had no pizzazz. It's the best event in All-Star festivity week. What'd you think?
Can I channel my inner Kevin Kincaid for this segment? Who cares? Now, I'm not really a big home run derby guy. I will say this though, because we fancy ourselves as betting folk here.
Yeah.
You can't have controlled, legalized markets on these events and not have a definitive answer as to what actually happened. So that's my biggest takeaway with the home run derby. Do I care that Albert Pujols beat Kyle Schwarber in the opening round? Not really. Do I care that Juan Soto won the home run derby? Not really. I don't care if it was staged, rigged, fixed, whatever. But if you're going to have DraftKings ads in the middle of the thing, then you got to make sure that there's proper integrity involved with the event. And I'm not sure that there was last night. And I think if I were betting on that event and I didn't win, I'd be pretty pissed off this morning.
Well, as a guy who had Juan Soto and Kyle Schwarber plus 150 to make it out of the first round, I was pretty pissed off. And I understand, big thing here at Crossing Broad is nothing burgers and who cares and whatnot. But you're exactly right. When you have DraftKings ads and whatnot, and you're making money off of these partnerships, do you go back to the out system? Do you stay with the timing system? Because I like the timing system. I think it's better. We don't need to sit here and watch Bobby Abreu hit 30 home runs or watch Josh Hamilton hit, or Julio Rodriguez probably would have went on forever if they would have let him there. What do you do?
I think that you can do the clock the way that they are right now, because what you don't want is guys taking pitch after pitch and slowing down the action. So you like the increase in the action, but if you're going to regulate this event, like you got to make sure that everybody's playing by the same rules. I mean, how many times did you see it last night where, one pitch would get snuck in at the end as the clock expired and you're kind of looking at it going like, should that count? Was that clean? Was it out in time? Like, what are the rules? And if we have clearly defined rules, then let's follow them. And watching that last night, it just felt like pure chaos across the board.
Yeah, no, it did. I mean, there was, I was looking at the film, and we had that tweet that went viral about Kyle Schwarber getting robbed. And I was reading some of the comments, and it does look like 17 never went out. And Ravitch goes, "That's 17." Then he goes, "That's 18." And then the counter just kind of stops. And they actually messed up the count for Juan Soto in the final round, too.
Well, even the Juan Soto round at the end, I mean, he probably hit like 2 or 3 extra home runs at the end of that. And then I think they counted it like as a 19-18 winner. And you're like, he hit like 21 home runs in that final round. So
what if someone has the over there? Like, what if it's like I think it was like 260.5 home runs. Like, what if someone has the over and they lose it because they didn't get to 20 or 21?
Yeah.
This kind of leads us to that age-old question. You'll have to have Anthony Sanfilippo on at some point, who Bob and I both suffer through hosting shows with. But he's Mr. Sports betting can't be the thing that drives.
We'll keep a tally
that drives change in sports. But think about it. What we're talking about here isn't about what's best for the viewer. It's not what's best for the players themselves. It's not for bragging rights. It's not for what is arguably the greatest skills competition in any professional sport and most famous skills competition in any sport. What we're talking about is fundamentally changing and setting rules and setting the way that home runs are calculated based on the advent and the continuing introduction of legal online sports betting into different states. It can be really problematic, especially for a lot of these sports books that go out of their way to sponsor specific teams, leagues, have sports books in stadiums. If they can't trust Major League Baseball to get this kind of thing right, they're going to be the ones to catch blowback. Nobody's going after Major League Baseball because they're over missed because ESPN couldn't count it. It is interesting.
I got one other thing to kind of put a bow on this. All these dorks on Twitter that are like, well, that's what you get for betting on the home run derby. I'm sorry. People bet on everything. They bet on tennis. They bet on golf. They bet on summer league basketball. Of course
Darts.
they're going to bet on the home run derby. It's like the only event of the day.
Yeah.
It's probably the biggest event of the week. That's what you get for betting on the home run derby. It's a big event, a big spotlight's on it. Bet on the home run derby, but just be able to bet with some confidence. That's all. Get out
So
of
what
here.
happens? What happens tonight if the All-Star game goes 9 innings and then they have the home run off?
Derby, yeah.
Are we going to get
We're
another
all
Carl
hoping for
Ravage,
that,
Eduardo
right?
Perez on the home run derby?
Yeah, they just jump in mid-broadcast.
That broadcast, I mean, the half screens were terrible. They would take away the shot. They would be 3 swings behind. I know it's hard to do it live and everything, but it goes back to when Bryce Harper won it. And it was that whole thing that Bryce Harper's dad didn't get the pitch out in time, or they didn't let the ball drop into the stands in time. It's just such these convoluted rules that either make it rules that we can all follow to the human eye, or don't let us bet on it at all, because we can't bet on things in Pennsylvania like the NBA draft.
You know what, though, on the flip side, we're talking about this right now, and it's all
win.
over Twitter, and there's controversy, and, the argument that as long as people are talking about it, even if it's not necessarily positive press, it's good press. And so that event has received a lot more juice and a lot more carryover this morning than it otherwise would have had. And so, maybe credit to them for that.
I haven't got my refund yet.
You're looking at what, a 1 day turnaround, depending on how this goes. Everybody wants it to end in a home run derby tonight. So that might be like the positive for ESPN, but like, this isn't the same as saying, day 1 of the NFL draft was terribly set up, and then you can take that feedback and then immediately show on day 2 of the draft, we heard what you said, we've made these adjustments. It doesn't work that same way. It's a shame. But at some point, I think this is going to lead to them going back to the out system, where we're going to watch guys take 5 or 6 pitches between at-bats, or, between swings. And that's a shame, because this does make sense. Like, this is a good way to speed up the home run derby and to also make it interesting.
The Jeter documentary didn't start till 10:45 last night. Like, who the hell scheduled that? Sorry, go Russ.
Was that the first time that's been on?
Yes.
The 17-part Derek Jeter documentary on ESPN.
I liked the first episode. I stayed up and watched it. He's just, I don't know if he's interesting enough to have a 7-part series about him. I mean, he's also got Jordan to follow up on, and Michael Jordan was one of the best. I will admit this. I was a Yankee fan growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s. I did root for the Yankees in the 2009 World Series against the Phillies. I'll admit that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love Jeter. I love Posada. I love Mariano. I love Pettit, Mussina, all those guys. But you know what? Sometimes it's like the prodigal son. You got to return sometimes. And I came back to the Phillies. And now I'm going through 10 years, 11 years of no
Yeah,
playoffs.
so the Phillies went out and signed like Marlon Byrd in 2014, and that brought you back.
Yeah. Darren Ruff coming up. That was exciting.
Darren Ruff was what brought you back to the Phillies.
Yeah, Cody Ashe. I was a big
Babe Ruth.
Cody Ashe guy.